Hey Kate, so it's the end of summer and you're almost off to college, so obviously we didn't get on our taco cooking class. So we decided to make a video for you and for Aubrey and for whoever else would like to know about my mom's tacos from the early 1970s. Anyway, we're gonna start off with probably about 2 pounds of hamburger. Probably makes about, actually this is probably more like 2.5 pounds. It probably makes about 15 pretty good stuffed tacos, but you could play with that if you like them more full or less full. And then I use 85% ground beef. I used to use 93, it's leaner and better for you probably, but the 85 kind of gets it a little more greasy. It kind of gives you that yummy grease when you take a bite. So you can play with that too. You could do half 93%, half 85%, whatever you'd like. For the tortillas, you need to have corn tortillas. White or yellow are just fine. We've kind of feel that yellow is better in our family. It just has a little bit more taste and it also holds together a little bit better. Just has a better consistency for the taco. So today we're gonna be using the yellow corn tortillas and 85% ground beef. These are our spices that we will be putting into the tacos. I don't have measurements. I'm sorry, I just have been making this for too long. Just do a shitload, okay? So when you think it's too much chili powder, you use more. Lori's seasoned salt, that's what I've always used, but you can also just use normal salt as well. Onion powder, garlic powder, ground black pepper, and cumin. Cumin, a little bit goes a long way, so don't do what you do with the chili powder, just do a couple dashes of the cumin. All right, shall we get started? So I have the ground beef in a pan. I usually like to have the pan hot before I put the meat in. I did not do that tonight, I don't know why. But you kind of mush it up like this and just let it cook. Before you put any spices in, I'll let you know when to put the spices in, that's key. You don't want to do it when it's this raw and you don't want to do it when it's too cooked. You want the spices to get in while it's cooking, so you wait till it's about halfway brown before you put the spices in. Okay, so now that the ground beef is halfway cooked about, it's good timing to get the spices in. Now keep in mind, these aren't real like street tacos from Mexico. They're more Southern California, Tex-Mex tacos with the ground beef. I mean, they don't usually use ground beef in Mexico unless it's picadillo style, which they could add potatoes or sometimes even raisins in the picadillo style. So, but this is just good old-fashioned 1973 Southern California ground beef tacos, babe. Nothing special about it. But we are gonna add Lori's, or you also can use any kind of salt if you don't care for the MSG that sometimes, oh, this too. Anyway, used to have MSG. If you don't like Lori's, then, so see, I'm not being like stingy. I'm just going for it, you know? Cumin, like I said before, a little bit goes a long way with me, so I just do, actually just like that much. You can do more if you like that flavor. Black pepper, you can use pure ground. Lately, I used to do this. Lately, I've been doing just a coarser pepper just because I am totally obsessed with pepper. So I just really like to have more of a coarser. A little bit onion powder, a little garlic powder, and then this is the one that you want to go ballistic with. See, now sometimes I feel like that just isn't coming out fast enough. Okay, boys and girls, be careful doing this at home because it could ruin your whole day if too much comes out. Now, so you're probably thinking, oh my God, that is so much, Kori. But really, it's not. Okay, so now get that completely blended together and we'll see how it looks after it's done blending. So as you can see the color, so this is the difference too between the 85% ground beef versus the 93 fat. There's gonna be a lot more fluid with the 85%, but that's where all the grease is and kind of all the flavor. So you kind of want some of that, but you also can cook it off. So just let it kind of simmer like this. And actually I have it on a pretty high heat, it's on full. And just keep stirring it, make sure all the pieces of hamburger get the spices. And see what I'm doing here? Like, you want it real small. You don't want big chunky pieces of ground beef in your taco. You want to get it kind of Like this is kind of perfect right here. Like just mush it up as much as you can. I'm using a flat spatula. I like to use those the most for this. Okay, now a few more minutes of this, and you can taste it and see, you know, if it needs more spice, does it need more salt? You know, you'll just have to get to know your own tacos and your own personality and what you like. Less chili powder? I think that'd be ridiculous, but you might like less chili powder. Anyway, so it's all about you and what you want. So when I'm done, this is almost done here, I'm going to actually take it off the heat, put it on another burner, and then right before I fill the tacos, I will reheat it real quickly. But for now, we're gonna take it off the heat and move it and get onto the tortillas. Now that you've taken the meat off the heat, before you start going on the tortillas, it's a good time to turn your oven on to 405 Fahrenheit, and I believe middle rack is gonna be good for the tacos. So get that heating up while you're doing the tortillas, and then by the time you're done, the tacos will be ready to go in. All right, so now we're going on to the second step, which is the tortillas. Frying the tortillas, very important. This is the best part of the taco, is frying the tortillas. So first you need a non-stick skillet, small like this. You want it small so that the oil can heat up as fast as it can. Corn oil is the best to use. It's okay if you use vegetable oil. They're corn tortillas, so I figure you're using corn oil. It makes the most sense and tastes the best. So, don't be liberal. Is that the right word to use? Yeah, I guess it is. Like, you probably want it that deep. You're gonna get it on a high. Now this is when you have to use extreme caution. I remember growing up, my mom used to make these, and she burned a couple knuckles a couple times. So, what you wanna do, well, she used to flip them with a fork. And so what you need, safest tool for these is tongs. You could do a fork, but see how close I am? I wouldn't recommend that. No, this is right. Okay, this is gonna take a while to heat up, and when we come back, I will show you how to test the oil, if it's ready or not, because you don't wanna put it in if the oil is not hot enough. Big mistake. Lay out paper towels here, because you will be flipping them and putting them here to drain. I got out about 15 tortillas because I think 2.5 pounds is gonna be pretty, but I can always, if I fill up 12 and I don't have any more, then that's just what happens. So the oil has been heating for approximately, I don't know, 3 minutes, something like that. This is how you test it. If you get it too hot, you could start an oil fire, so you don't want to do that. If it's not hot enough, you're gonna douse your tortilla, and it's just gonna sit in there and it won't do right. So you take a tiny little piece off, drop it in. Oh, see how it's popping to the top? It's perfectly ready. So, be careful, kind of slide it in there. You don't want to splash yourself. Good. Again, that's probably about enough time. And to save oil, I always lift one up, put one in, kind of shake that off, and then I lay that over here. This is the part I'm gonna admit takes a little bit of time to work on. You just wanna be really careful not to burn yourself, get any water near that oil, because it will splatter and you can burn yourself. It's really important not to leave them in the oil for too long. I'm talking like, what is that, maybe like 3 seconds on each side, because if you leave it in for too long, it'll get so crispy that you won't be able to fold it. It'd be great for a tostada if you wanted to leave it in longer, but for tacos, you need to just do it really quickly. Get a little bit of crispy on the outside here, and then that's all. As you can see, they're draining here. You need to really have paper towels nearby. You go through a lot of paper towels when you're making these. And gently get up as much of the excess oil as you can. You know, obviously they've been fried in oil, so they will be oily, but you don't want it excessively oily. So notice how I'm just kind of, sometimes you have to flip them. Okay, so then when you get them thoroughly dried off, you want to mold them into the shape you want them for tacos as soon as you can, because the cooler they get, the harder they will be to mold into that taco shape. until you're all done, and then you sit and then you will heat up the meat again, and then we will be ready to pack the tacos before we put them in the oven. Okay, so now that the tortillas are finished and we folded them into the, I kind of put them into a baking dish. You can use a cookie tray. I like to use ones with sides just so I can stack them in there. I'm reheating the meat so that it's nice and warm, even though you're putting them in the oven. You want it hot to go in there because I don't think that the amount of time you have it in the oven will make them hot enough inside if you don't do this. Also, I wanted to talk to you about disposal of the oil. Right here we have this oil that we used. Do not put it down your sink. It's really, really bad for the pipes in your sink, and it coats them and all this kind of stuff. So what I like to do is I wait for it to cool, and then I actually literally will pour it into my trash, like on the paper towels that I actually just threw away, and then the paper towels will soak it up, and then put it in your outside garage, because otherwise your trash in house is definitely going to smell like grandma's casina. Okay. Now we're ready to start packing the tacos, or whatever you want to call it. So see how those nicely, as they cool and dry from the time that I folded them, they actually do have a taco shape to them. I use like a quarter cup or a big spoon or something. I just like using a measuring cup because it's just easier. It's not for measuring the amount. Depending on the size of tortilla you get, there are different sizes. That might even be too much. So a quarter cup or even less is good, because remember, you're going to pack it with lettuce, tomatoes, onions, cilantro, cheese, sour cream. I mean, you're going to pack a bunch of stuff on here. But Kate, I think knowing you, I think you just put lettuce, don't you? I don't know. Anyway, maybe in about 5 years you'll put more stuff on there. I don't know. All right, so then this is it. Let's do another one. And literally, it's just kind of like just how full you like them. But I put them all across the meat, all the way across, so every bite you get has meat in it. And it doesn't matter, they can be very tightly. I will end up pushing them all together like that because you actually want them tight, and I'll show you at the end of that process. I had to add more hamburger to the tacos, as you can see. Just I filled them up and then had extra hamburger, so I put more in there. I like to have melted cheese on mine, so you can use a cheddar jack blend of Monterey or cheddar. I personally like just using the Monterey jack cheese, the white cheese, but a lot of my family does not like to have melted cheese on their tacos. They like to put cheese on non-melted on top of the taco. So if you're doing it that way and non-melted, I would use just a cheddar. Is a nice way to go for these. And you just kind of shove the cheese in there, the green cheese. You can see how these are very tightly put together. There's a reason for that. It's so that when we put it on a high heat in the oven at 405, just the tops are going to get crispy and the bottoms will still be soft. So kind of like that restaurant quality taco. So the kitchen's smelling pretty good, and it's been 10 minutes on the 405 temps. And I go by just how it looks because every oven is different with heat, kind of. So you want this crispiness on the top here, okay? Looks good. So here you have it. So you're all done and you're about to get ready to put the toppings on. Now this is all for my family. If you come a little closer, we've got taco sauce, Cholula, Tabasco. Everybody has their different likings. Tomato, onion, cilantro. It's definitely a must if you're gonna be doing the white onion. Cheese, sour cream, green lettuce. I like iceberg. Other parts of my family like green leaf. It's whatever you want to do. And enjoy. Ready to go.